This is Rated M. I am your host, TR, and we got a great lineup for you guys today. We're going to bring Ruth, Danessa, Inisa, Tawana, Katy D, and the one and only TR. Got some great stuff for you. So don't go anywhere. Hold that station right there and stay tuned because we also got a hot topic with real talk in reference to women with us with this women power going on. So we'll be right back. Rated M. Has been brought to you by Soundguard Events, Sound Systems, and AV Rentals. We have gear for all occasions. For more information, go to Gyroscope Media Group website, which is www.gyroscopeme.wibbly.com, and then just go to where it says GS Radio Sponsor tab. Click on it and you'll see it there. Also sponsored by the Well Purified Water, located at 1120 Teaneck Road, Teaneck, New Jersey, 07666. And if you want more information, again, go to Gyroscope Media Group website, www.gyroscopeme.weebly.com. Don't forget to click on the GS Radio Sponsor tab, and you'll find all our sponsors right there. Well, guys, here we go again. Excited to be back, where I'm always excited to come back. And I get to meet and be with my girls, my crew, as we are all about women power, women empowerment. So guess who's always up next and got something always great to give us the 411. We have Ruth Danessa spilling the tea with us. What we got, Ruth?
It was kind of difficult for me, choosing the stores because there's just so much going on.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep it short in some of them. We have report of super lice in 25 states.
Super what?
Lice.
Lice in the hair?
Yes.
Buggy bugs?
Yes, that are
the
not.
cooties that we used to call those the cooties in my day.
That are not, they're not responding to the normal treatment. So, and, we see this all the time where people antibiotic and then you get the super bugs and stuff like that. And it's our own doing. But, I mean, what do you do? Not fight the lice? And we don't hear about lice the way we used to, right? Like it doesn't seem to happen as often.
I think because now we put perms and stuff like that in our hair, and that chemical will eat the lice. Because no joke, when I was come up, lice was always in Caucasians' hair because they didn't iron or press their hair. We used to hot comb our hair, so if you had lice, it would burn them right out. We were always, it's like if you end up getting lice, you get the straightening comb and you press the hair and it fries them. And also we also will put perms in our hair, and perms burn us. So it will eat any bug or anything like that.
Do you think that contributed to the super lice?
It might have. I know it kills them, but shoot, we got super roaches and super rats now that the stuff that doesn't work. So what's going on with that lice? Ooh, we call them back in the day cooties.
25 states, so that's half the country, and they're going to spread to the whole country. And what's happening is that they're not. So now there's salons that are popping up with special technique, and they say that is it nitpicking that's
what they call it.
That's the best, still the best strategy.
And nitpicking is this fine tooth comb. Really fine the teeth real, and you just comb it, and you see all the cooties come into it. Oh, just
what do you do with it?
You just go bald. Just cut off all
you take it, you take alcohol, and you wipe it off, and you keep doing it until it's all gone. When salons end up with it, they have to close the shop down. Nobody can and they got to disinfect the whole place because. I used to think about the cooties when I go to the movies. You know how the back of the chair in the movie theater, and you sit and you lay back? I always felt like if someone who had lice, it would get my hair, especially when my hair used to be very, very long where I could sit on it. And it's like, how would I, the only way to get rid of it, because I had long locks, the only way that I would be able to get rid of that lice is to shave my head because of all the hair that I had.
Well, what do they look like?
They look
little
like
spiders. Don't look under a microscope at them. They're really disgusting.
They're little white. They look like little white millie bugs. Those little white bugs that get on plants is white and webby. That's what it looks like in your head. And some people think it's dandruff, and it's not, and it's the cooties.
Well, the white is the nits. That's their egg sac, and it deposits itself about an inch from the scalp. And from what I've heard is it's the texture of the hair. So the reason it's more of a Caucasian problem is the texture, and they can adhere better to the hair shaft. Those nits, those are their eggs.
Well, you figure we're African American, our hair is a little coarse and kind of.
My girlfriend's child never got it, and she's the one who told me that it's because his hair was a different texture. And she said, lice, I get the notice, I don't worry about it. He never gets it. 2 years ago, we had it twice in my house, both my kids. I got it. And we went to a service because I couldn't do my own hair. It's very thick. And she did what you're saying with the comb. But they're pulling out those little nits, the eggs, not just the bugs. Because you could have one lice in your hair and they lay all these eggs and then
multiply.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. You're infested.
Wow. And it's itchy?
Yes, and I have an itchy scalp as it is, so you'd think you have it, and
you're paranoid every time you get it. Like you're in there looking.
Now I'm paranoid. We got hit twice in 1 year, and it was.
So how did you realize that you had it?
The nurse, so the school nurse, I guess, did a screening of the kids, and she luckily didn't have a problem with doing that. The new nurse won't check them, so every once in a while. Plus, my son, I make sure his hair is really short.
But how did you get it?
From my kids, cuddling my kids, or whatever, if it's on the couch.
They jump.
Yeah, I was sitting next to a homeless person in the when I was going back and forth for cancer, for my chemo treatment, and he so happened to just fall on me and asleep. and he looked like he had white dandruff on his shoulder, and I just nicely tapped him and he said, "Oh, ma'am, I'm sorry, but I didn't have any hair because chemo took out all my hair, but I was afraid of it jumping on my clothes and me bringing it home." So I was like, I was afraid. And when I was coming up, it used to be, you know, you got the cooties, you got the cooties, you know. And in my day, they just didn't call them lice, they said cooties. So how are they saying how
Super
they
lice
handle
is
that?
terrifying. Super lice is
They're recommending that, telling the kids not to hug each other and to stay away from each other, basically, even if there is an outbreak in your school, but just to be aware and to teach the kids. But I mean, you don't want to put fear in the kids. Now you don't want to play with your friends. I mean, how do you? And nitpicking, they said, is still the best. It's going to take a lot longer now because
And nitpicking is combing, right?
Right.
Just combing.
That's what they're recommending.
Why didn't they suggest shaving the hair bald?
Oh, for kids, come on now,
Who want to
Inisa.
shave their hair bald?
And all the bullying,
Kids,
come
Bye.
on.
That's
Come
why
on,
there's
little
wigs.
girls.
That's why
There's
there's wigs.
So you think if it happened to you, you're gonna cut off
Bye-bye.
all your hair?
Mm-hmm.
But how would you tell that to a 5-year-old? Nah, I don't think so.
My
Nah,
mommy
Inisa.
will do it too. We'll be bald together.
Well, and then you don't think they'll be targeted?
Ignore it.
with
People
bullying and
ignore it,
stuff like that?
Inisa.
Don't ignore it. I'm serious.
No,
That's
like-
the best and quickest way to get rid of it. Instead of going hours, maybe days of combing out nits and lice.
It's they'll still attach to you.
It doesn't
Ooh.
have to be that long for it to attach. So then are you going to be bald your whole life?
Are you
Like,
gonna
just
keep-
your hair
yeah,
head
keep-
shaved?
Hey.
Because then you gotta wash the sheets and the stuffed
Yeah.
animals and
It's
there's
like
all-
ringworm, you know. It's not.
or like bed bugs.
Bed bugs.
Yeah, bed bugs. That's more frightening, actually. That's a bit of an epidemic, I think. right?
Yeah, they're even
And you
the,
don't have to be dirty to get bed bugs.
They have the high class hotels, the 5-star hotels, and you hear about.
Yeah, I
them
know I'm paranoid because when we go on vacation, I'm always looking in. You don't put anything like your suitcase on the floor. You got to have it up. It's paranoid.
And none of this stuff is about hygiene, I think. It's just it has nothing
right.
to do with that. But that's the stigma with lice is, oh, she's dirty. It doesn't have anything to do
That's
with that.
just like with roaches. You could be clean and still have
Absolutely.
roaches. You bring that home from a supermarket.
Oh God. Okay, so here we are, sadly talking about more shootings, random shootings. Heston, Kansas. There were 3 dead and 14 injured. In Kalamazoo, Michigan. This is all last week. 6 killed. And that guy was driving an Uber car in between. He went to 3 different spots and he killed people. And he was picking up fare in an Uber car in between shootings.
Oh my God.
And it's just like, and you see how you guys react because it's no longer a big deal. Like before, it used to be in the front page. It used to be everywhere. Like, again, here we are. This poor. Now it's just like
It's a way of
I
life.
didn't even
another
know about
story.
it. I didn't even know about it.
And it's crazy. It's just, and even the president said today that we're becoming desensitized to it. And before, it used to be in the front page, and it used to be covered to death, and you knew everything about the person. Or
But it's happening so much that it's like, okay, where is it now?
do we give it attention? Do we? Because some people do it to go out in infamy and to be famous. Do we give it attention? Do we ignore it? What do we do with it?
What was his reason for doing it?
One of them, he was upset with his wife. He had, she's serving with divorce, and he shot everybody but her, of course.
Really?
Yeah, he went out and shot some people at a restaurant and at a parking lot.
Oh, so
And-
he just went out and hit innocent people.
Right.
Really innocent people.
Right. And the other one was also at work. He was being fired, so he went to work and shot his former coworkers.
But
So
these,
it's because
these things
it's
happen every
cultural.
day. Like the question is, why are they
So common now.
shooting? Like these getting fired, having your wife divorce you. This stuff happens
Right.
all the time. So why are they?
I'm trying to understand the mentality of anger now with adults.
Yeah.
The way they deal with it. It's so strange.
And a lot of people are so quick to say, "Oh, it's because you have so easy access to guns, such easy access to gun." Sorry about that. So if they didn't have a gun accessible, would they go stabbing? Like you hear about all the stabbings that's happening in New York also. So would they grab a bat? Did they build a bomb? Are guns too accessible?
No, it's not even about the gun. It's about the person. It's about the mentality and the,
But
the
if
spirit
they
of the
didn't have,
person.
if they didn't have,
He
the
probably had
access
a-
to
yeah,
the
he
gun,
probably had-
Guns
illegal
don't kill
gun.
people. People kill people. the issue is the person. It's not the device that they use.
Well, how do you know when somebody, because you and I can go through the same exact thing and react completely differently to the same exact experience or trauma. So how do you anticipate that? And interesting enough, I was reading the FBI is now tracking people that commit cruelty towards animal because that's one of the markers.
That's the first signs when they start growing up. Yeah, and then they like use them as target practice, and then they go get a human.
Right, but it's just like, how do you know that Inisa is going to snap and do this and Ruth is not, or vice versa? Like,
there can be signs, and sometimes there's not. And often, how would we know? Like, if you don't know a person personally in that manner, like, I don't know what you're like at home with your family. I don't know what it's like to be with Ruth 24/7. So it could be more on the impossible side to know when you will snap and what you will snap about. And yet there could be signs leading up to that major event.
but even the family, like, oh, we never thought that would happen, or, you know, they were such loving family members, and next thing you know, they kill the whole family, or stuff like that. It's just, and I do believe that there's signs, but how do you know somebody from having a bad day and just saying things with having a bad day to someone who's actually going to follow through with this?
I don't think this can be classified as just a bad day.
Yeah, I think this is some kind of snap.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So some people have a bad day, and I will curse you out today because I'm having a bad day, and you just the last straw. But I'm not going to act on it.
I just think people just don't care. Some people just really don't care. I don't think that they really too much think about the consequences. I just think that a lot of people that does things like this just carry this I don't care attitude. You know, because I be trying to understand even when people out here and they kill their mate for whatever reason, but they have enough common sense that it's okay for them to still live. I don't understand
and
that.
beg for their life.
Yeah,
I do
it's
wonder.
okay for you to live, but you took someone else's life. If you weren't okay with what your mate was doing, then I don't see why you just don't take your own personal life. So how is it okay you take theirs, but you still want to have yours and be in jail?
If you're gonna kill somebody, do you.
Right.
Don't do somebody
Yeah,
else.
you're in that much pain in your life. Kill
Right.
yourself.
I do wonder if it's a cultural thing, because you don't hear this about other country. Is it a cultural thing that we are so spoiled? I do believe that sometimes some people are sheltered and are cuddled, and then when they grow up, they never face any adversity growing up, and then they don't learn how to cope. You know, you have to fall down and get a knee scrap or something, and then you learn how to cope with stuff slowly and gradually. We shelter our kids where they have no consequences, and we fix everything for them. And then when they grow up, the slightest thing will set them off, and they don't know how to cope. And then they're mad at their mom, and they go shoot up the mall.
Right.
I think this is such a big problem that usually big problems, they don't have an on-off switch where there's just one cause or one solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably so many things. Like last week I was talking about sleep deprivation. Well, sleep deprivation actually makes you do insane things. If there's a sleep problem in America and it's a national health problem, that could be one cause. It could be a culture of violence with all our films that are all, we glorify war and violence.
Oh, the
in our-
games.
in
The
our
games
film.
are like
the
that.
video games.
So it could be a cultural thing.
Access to guns. I mean, all of these could be pieces in this puzzle. It's not just one thing. You know, it's
We
so
don't have
much
the whole
goes
story.
into it.
And the last thing I want to talk about is
We
the
know
election.
it keeps happening more and more.
The election. I mean, Super Tuesday is coming. Super Tuesday is when the most state go and do their primary, and then usually you can have a clear leader in each party of who's going to be the candidate. I just want to say, and I'm not endorsing anyone, but how disturbing it is to me that Chris Christie and Donald Trump were killing each other a week ago, and, you know, in a debate, and they're, you know, talking so harshly, and now they're best friends, and Chris Christie removed himself from the campaign, and now he's endorsing Trump, who a week ago he was saying is a scam artist. Now he's saying he's the best guy to be our president, and how our politics work. And it's just very disturbing to me how.
That's clear about, that's the BS of politics.
It
right
sounds
there.
like money and backhandedness. That's what it sounds
Well,
like.
I think that he's looking for a position in his.
Yeah, because him being here, it's over.
Oh, he's not even here. He barely came for a few days, and then he went back out to Texas to support Trump. So it's like, does he even know where New Jersey is?
He hasn't been doing things with New Jersey, and I don't think he's not going to make the governor. again. And he's
Well,
not
he
going to
has
be
to
going.
2017. He could focus on that. But I know he's looking for a cabinet position or
Yeah,
something
he's
with
looking
Trump.
for a position because he's got to go to Plan B because he's not going to have a job.
But
So-
it's just so disturbing to me how I can insult you right now, and the next week we're best friend, you and I, and it's just so phony. But I know it's politics, and you see it with all of that. I would tell you this: get informed. Don't vote because your favorite movie star is voting or because or whatever. Just get informed and find out what's affecting you. We have a lot on the line. There's a lot of talk about, Scalia dying, and we're getting a new Supreme Court justice, and abortion's up again because of Texas and stuff like that. We have real issues in the economy and stuff that's going to affect us. So find out what's best for you and go with that.
That's right. It pays to get out there and vote, regardless of who you vote for. Your voice does matter. So you get out there and you make a stand. Don't be one of the ones talking about if I coulda, woulda, shoulda, or trying to have a say-so when you didn't stand up. So on that note, we'll be right back, Rated M, and we're coming back with Inisa. Don't go anywhere. Rated M. This has been sponsored by MK Images. Capture your expressions for life. Located at 70 Spruce Street, Paterson, New Jersey, 3rd floor. For more information, go to the Gyroscope Media Group website at www.gyroscopeme.weebly.com and click on that GS Radio sponsor tab. Also, we're sponsored by Neat and Clean Cleaning Services. We will make gray clouds turn to sunshine. For more information, go to that Gyroscope Media Group website www.gyroscopeme.weebly.com, and don't forget to click on GS Radio sponsor tab. Okay, folks, we got Inisa coming up, and this segment is human nature. What we got with human nature?
So today I was going to be speaking about homosexuality, but that is a really hot topic, and I wanted to clear some things up before I dive right into that. So rest assured, God willing, I will be diving into homosexuality next week. But first, human nature. I had to back up a bit because for many, homosexuality is natural. So the key question that, for me anyway, that I asked my pastor was, if the desires are natural, how can they be sinful? So it's stated in the Bible, it's an abomination for a man to sleep with a man and a woman to sleep with a woman. It's not what God intended. But again, my question was, the act is sinful, but the desires that are natural to us, or natural to some, not everyone, how can they be sinful if it's not something that's brought upon purposely? It's a desire that comes on them. So we had to take a look back. In Genesis, Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That's Genesis 3:22. When they ate of it, they had knowledge of good and evil. So from then on, sin passed down through the flesh. Romans 5:19 says, through one man's disobedience, many were made sinners. So everybody after that, we all came after Adam, right? We weren't here before him. I never met him, so I have to I came after him. Everyone after that was born into sin. And since it has become natural to our flesh, it is natural for us to sin because sin is a part of who we are. Through Adam's disobedience, we all became sinners, and we sin to this day because it is our nature. We are sinful beings. For example, there was a man, I think he was a tax collector, calling after Jesus, and he said, good teacher, which was one of the nicknames people called Jesus. Good teacher, where are you going? And he said, why do you call me good? No one is good but God. And he was saying that to point to his divinity. If the only being who is good is God, then why are you calling me good? Because I'm a man. We know that the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they didn't believe that Jesus was God. They thought he was a man lying. So it is our spirit that, what is our nature? Anything that feels good to our flesh. It is our spirit that we are at war with because it constantly pushes for spiritual things that are contrary to the flesh. So if I confuse you, I'm sorry. Is it natural for some people for a man to desire a man and for a woman to desire a woman? Yes, it is natural. It has become a part of human nature. But as I just said, human nature is what?
Sin.
It's sinful. So nothing good can come of mankind. So it is natural, these desires that some people have, but it's still sinful. Again, it is our spirit that wars against the flesh. What our spirit wants, our flesh does not want, and vice versa. So let's talk about that. Any questions or comments?
Here's what I think about homosexuality. I think that it's really difficult to live that lifestyle, and that if people had a choice to not be it, they would choose not to be it. I think. It's so hard, whether it's at work, at school, or with your family. You see it, you hear the struggles all the time. People have lost their life or their jobs or their family have cut them off because their preference or whatever you want to call it. And I really believe that if they had a choice, they wouldn't choose this difficult life. So I do believe that in their heart, that's their reality and they don't feel like they have a choice.
But they do have a choice. See, I was speaking about that with my pastor, and he brought up a point where the homosexual struggle is sometimes compared to the black struggle. Like, why this is we were born this way and it can't be changed. And he brought that point up, and I was like, well, yeah, I could see how it connect. That's what I said to him. And he said, well, I can't change, my pastor is black. He says, well, I can't change the color of my skin. So it's not the same thing. But even if a person is homosexual, they can choose not to sleep with a person of the same sex. So again, the desire is natural. It is of the flesh, but the flesh is sinful. And you may suffer from things all your life. You may have the burden of certain sins all your life. It might never change. But you can still make the choice to not give in to them.
But isn't homosexuality being attracted and sexually attracted to the same sex? You don't have to act on it. Just because, okay, so you're attracted to a woman, just because you're not sleeping with the woman doesn't mean you're still a homosexual, because you're still attracted to that person.
Right.
So
That's right.
you still sinning, I guess is what you're saying. Even if you're not acting on it, just having the thoughts and those inklings, you're still sinning is out. So
That is the desire of the flesh, and the flesh is sinful.
So you
yes.
choose not to act on it. So you're doing your best and choosing not to act on it, but you're still homosexual because you're still having those emotions.
Right.
Well, I look at it this way. People say that they're not born with it. And there are those that are born with it, right?
I believe
from the
that.
beginning.
Yes.
And when you're born with it, I mean, you have seen children very, very young, and they don't even know. And you see those tendencies with them. How can you sit there and tell them they're not born with it? That spirit was in them from birth. Now, where that spirit came from is another, that's an altogether different thing. But there are those that were born with it and they don't know about it, and then you got those that were molested and was introduced to it, and it became a way of life because that's all they knew because they were introduced it. Those are two different types of
How it can be brought on.
How it could be brought on. And then there's a third way of being brought on where that you could have got hurt very, very bad from the opposite of sex, and you were introduced to homosexuality, and it seems like it worked out that way. Not so much that you planned it, but because of our soul, the flesh, that because you were hurt, and just to say, and I'm not gay, but just to say that I was hurt really bad by a male, and a female was able to comfort me, and it so happens that we end up coming together as one, and they end up being my partner. That's another way of it happening. I wasn't planned to be a lesbian, homosexual, whatever you want to call it, but some things just happen because of pain. So there's different ways, but when it comes to little children and people argue and say, well, they're not born that way. Yes, there are children that are born that way.
And I believe there's people that's born that way, because even with me working with the mental disabled children, that was like, had, symptoms of,
Down syndrome and stuff.
Things like that. I have experience of seeing, guys that that's naturally know those feelings of wanting to deal with the same sex, and I don't think it have anything to do with because they were all in the same college with the same guys, but just things things that they do, things how they walk, little just little vibes that they had. You can tell that they were actually born with it. I just think now with the society, it was a little confusing to try to understand it because the way it came out and because they were saying that that's not the appropriate thing to do. But now as you read it and you kind of explain, I do believe that's it. Some people, because of the flesh and because of the sin, because we all sin, I think it naturally happens.
That's the key word. It is natural to human flesh,
right,
for some people, and some people are more susceptible to it than others. I don't have the issue of homosexuality either, but someone next to me may. It's different for different people. Sin affects people in different ways.
And yes, and it does. It comes upon them in different ways, because I know I have family members that say, oh, you're not born that way. Oh, there are those that are
Yes.
actually born
People
that way.
are born
How
with
can you
those
tell
desires.
a 2 and 3 year old when you see those tendencies?
Right.
And where do you think they learned that from? It wasn't from their parents. They have
Right.
heterosexual parents. So it something happens along the way, and it's a spirit.
I'm just happy that being that they have passed these laws for homosexualities, that, you know, they are kind of okay with feeling how they feel now, because I do feel like they fought for so long for something that was really natural, you know, and when everybody was saying that it's not natural and they're not born with it, and that's sin.
And the judgment
in reality
is so
it is.
hard
You
on,
explained it.
and the cruelty of judgment is so hard on them, and it's like, who are you to even say that?
Well, wait. I'm definitely going to talk about that next week, so be careful, ladies. I just don't want us to get ahead of ourselves. But I am going to be touching on how the church and people outside the church should treat people who are homosexual, because at the end of the day, homosexual people are people.
They're people, and
They're
they
people.
need to be loved, and it's like,
Yes.
you shouldn't do that.
I just want to say, I think modern genetics is finding a gene for almost everything. So I think the analogy between having black skin and being gay may not be a perfect analogy, because in fact it might be the same thing. Genetics may find that there's a gene for being homosexual, and it is just like having black skin or white skin.
Right.
It's the same thing. And I think if we say that sexuality, just like eating food or anything else, is sort of a fundamental of life, to hold these people and say it's a choice, like I can choose to wear red or I can choose to wear white, is unfair. It's too deep a need. It's too deep a fundamental impulse.
I agree.
To
I'm
hold
sorry.
them too harshly to that.
I'm confused. Are you saying that there is a gene that causes people to be homosexual, as well as there's a gene that causes people to come out with darker skin?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying modern genetics they're finding every day a gene for something
For
else.
everything.
So all I'm saying is it's quite
a
possible
possibility.
that this time next year we're going to be having the same conversation, and scientists will
They
find
find
a gene
a gene for
something
everything.
else.
hetero
They
or
do.
homosexuality.
They do.
Just like
But
the eye
it's-
color, skin color, anything.
But all things are possible because of sin and things mingling. You know, I believe that it's a spirit through generation from generation. But even that is a certain type of gene where they're just birthed in it, and it's birthed in that gene. So it's become so confusing. But
Gene is of the flesh.
yeah, it's just certain things that carry on. And like I was talking to you earlier, you have some families that are just cursed, and no matter what they do, things just don't work out. And then you got another family who doesn't have those kind of problems. I met a family that no matter what, I mean, she a doctor and everything, and everybody in her family had failed in everything, and then she ended up failing, and she's not a doctor anymore. And it's just so sad. It's just like, it's like being cursed, but people don't believe in curses. You know, they really don't, but it's really true. He talks about the curses in the Bible that people have done. They talk about curses in the Quran. You know, there's curses everywhere. That's why they always tell you, be careful what you say and what you speak up out of your mouth. You can speak life or death into someone, because once it hits the universe, there's a chance of it happening. So, and a lot of people think, oh, yeah, right. But no, life and death is in the power of the tongue. And whatever that you speak of, it can come to pass.
And it could be the way those people were speaking to their kids for generations. It
That's
could
right.
come from a human being as opposed to a curse somewhere. It could
That's
be
right.
their patterns of thinking. They're going to
Yeah.
undo themselves. Oh, I'm doing so well, and now I'm going to undo myself. You know,
Right.
that's
And
kids
there's
learn that.
things. Yeah.
So I have a closing remark, if I may, before we close out. So Ruth made a great point earlier about even though you don't commit the homosexual act, you can still be a homosexual. Yes. One of the things that Jesus calls all of us to do is to deny ourselves. So even though you still have those homosexual desires, even though you still are in fact homosexual, you can choose not to honor them and honor God instead. It is possible with prayer and with devotion to God. So in him, we are to deny ourselves and to deny our fleshly desires. Yes, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, and the truth is we don't want to do it. That's a fact, but it is possible.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank all of you ladies for your comments and your thoughts. I appreciate it. Yes. This is perfect because we're all different and we all see things from other points of view.
Yeah. That's what makes it good.
Yep. Well, guess what? On that note, we're going to come back with Tawana with Keeping It Real, and she's going to talk about messy men. So stay tuned. Rated M. This segment has been brought to you by Infinite Sounds DJs, DJs for all occasions, located at 70 Spruce Street, Patterson, New Jersey, 3rd floor. For more information, go to that Gyroscope Media Group website, www.gyroscopeme.weebly.com. And guys, click on that radio sponsor tab and get all the information. Okay. Guess who's up next? We got Tawana and Keeping It Real. And her rant is messy men.
I just want to know who birthed these messy men.
Women. Women.
I want to know who birthed these messy men.
I know why they're messy. And
they come with so much mess. Like you meet them, they come with all these baby mamas. You know, they got a bunch of kids. They don't have good jobs. It's just messy. It's just like who raised some of these guys? You know, they still have this street mentality. It's like a lot of men don't want to grow up. They don't know how to really
they have that Peter Pan mentality.
Yeah.
Like they stay stuck into that mentality, whereas I think that has to do a lot of fatherless men because they're stuck with mama taking care of them.
But a lot of them too are stuck with excuses.
But I'm telling you, this is where it comes from. They're stuck with mama taking care of them, and then they don't go out on their own like they're supposed to, get real jobs, do this, responsibility, accountability, all that other stuff. And then, wait a minute, then it's our fault because we accept them in, and then we turn around and be the mama to take care of them, to do this, to pay the rent, regardless if it's from our welfare check or whatever. They're never responsible for what they need to be responsible for.
But I kind of blame it a little bit too on the older society, because I think a lot of things that older people carry as far as men, like making up a lot of excuses like, oh, that's just men, that's just how men do, you know, it's like, since that has been passed on down and down line, through generation, a lot of men believe that. And
that's
with
chauvinistic
us women,
attitude.
With us women, it made us started to grow up to believe that same thing too. And whereas though we accepted certain things that we should have not accepted, because we've always heard this, oh, that's how, you know, men, you know, did. Even our parents and grandparents, we have heard those say certain
Yeah, because when he
so,
goes like, a man will go out and cheat out on his wife.
Main one.
And that's the number one. And they go, well, he's just being a man.
That's what I'm saying.
BS.
Yeah. I'm just putting my foot in your.
Well,
So it's like
me.
we have that older generation messiness that, you know, that we have men believing that it's okay to do. And now we have this stubborn generation with men because they just, like you said, fatherless. On top of that, we have a lot of women that really make, or females that make these men think that some of the things that they do is okay. Because even now with a lot of these men, as you see, a lot of men don't even have their own apartment. Majority of men in this society
Staying with the
has
girl.
been staying with the
Women.
girlfriend.
If they're not living with mama, they're living with their girlfriend.
Right. It's an accountability issue too. Like we are accountable for each other. Men can come with baggage, women can come with baggage too. But that significant other needs to hold their man up to a standard.
I'm not gonna try. I think why it's so hard for me to date now, because I'm not in that mind frame of giving men so many excuses. You know, like to believe that it's okay just to carry themselves the way they carry themselves. I believe the next, you know, mate that I meet, I would like them to have their own place, you know, their own car, a job, and then eventually, if we happen to move in, we move in. But it's like, you know, the population of women that's helping these men think that, and you still have some of these mothers too that help these sons believe that, you know, not getting on their feet is okay. Nobody wants to see their son out in a struggle, but I think a lot of mothers is not really pushing, you know, just accepting a lot of things too as a mom that they're tolerating, you know, to make these boys feel okay.
Yeah.
And it gets frustrated because then you also hear, oh, women, we mature quicker than men, you know, that line too, though. Yeah, it's just like excuses after excuse. And it's so sad because when I look at older people that's not stable, and I'm like, wow, even the older men or the, you know, still is doing like this younger generation pattern. So it's just like, wow. It's just like, where is these messy, what is this mud they walking in of messiness?
Why is that though? And all of you ladies are mothers, so I'm going to ask all of you, is you've definitely heard about, you know, going in easy on the sons as opposed to the daughters. Do you guys feel you have to do that way with your sons or with the younger men in your family?
I know I don't. I made my sons, and maybe if I had a girl, I wouldn't have done that. Like, change my tire even though it wasn't flat, so they would learn how to change a tire. So when it's time to change a tire, they could change a tire. They do clean. They wash dishes and mop and sweep and get beaten if they don't. So I don't think that. I think that people will do what you allow them to do and let them get away with it.
I mean that there are so many, I have known associates or some friends, they have sons. And they'll fuss with them to do the garbage, just to take the garbage out, which is basically in every household with a young man, to give him some kind of responsibility to take out the garbage. And then they don't take out the garbage till they do it. And it's like, I don't believe this. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this and I look at them like, and I speak up. I'm like, are you serious? You're really not teaching him responsibility, because if he can't take out the garbage, how, and he's not listening to you, the real world is going to give him instructions.
That's right.
And he's going to have to do it. And if the state gets involved and have to get instruction, he definitely doesn't have a choice. So they want this freedom, and if they go in the military, they have to take instructions. If they end up in jail, they have to take an instruction. So why not do it at home and have that kind of responsibility and structure? But a lot of the stuff, I blame on the mothers. I blame on the mothers to give them the responsibility, because they grow up and they think my mama did it, and they have that attitude. And here they are, 20-something years old, still living with mom, no job, no responsibility, lay up on the couch smelling like feet, because they're just sitting back and laying back. I'm exaggerating, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. And mama's out there working and coming home and got to clean up and stuff like that behind them, because of certain mentality is that either the guys are king. Well, in order for you to have that title, you have to earn that title of being king in the house.
But there's no kings. Like, I was so fortunate. My parents did a lot wrong, but, like every parent, like I'm doing. I think I'm not, but I am. I was raised by two people who didn't believe in differentiation between chores. So girls and boys did the same things. I would help my father in the wood shop. My brother would cook and clean. And it was pretty old-fashioned. We had chores. We had to do the chores. I thought everyone was raised that way. I got out there, and almost every guy I dated didn't do any of that stuff. And my brother's wife to this day, she's like, where did he come from? He has no problem. He'll just do the laundry. He'll cook. He'll clean. He changes the diapers. To him, it's no different than going out and changing the tire. So I think there is something, just a point to be made about that, about deciding what chores go to who. We are all able-bodied, and I do think it's the moms. I know that's one of my biggest mistakes. I'm in that generation where I'm raising my kids, and I do so much for them. And now they're 9 and 11. It's like I blinked my eyes, and they're 9 and 11, and they're not doing too much. Their main responsibility is their schoolwork, and we do not flinch on that. If they're not getting straight A's, they're hearing from us, and they've got to sit and do all the extra work to get to that point, and the teacher's notified and all of it.
Well, I just want these men, if you're listening, I want you guys to grow up and stop using excuses. Stop. Because these men, they use these excuses, and it's just messy.
Why should they? Why should they grow up? It sounds like life is made so easy for them. Like, why should they?
And that's why it's a problem, because you have men that dated women that accepted certain things, and then when they come to a real woman, they don't know how to deal with it. They don't have the patience for it.
You telling me what to do. I can't do that. All the excuses. But you know what? There are more women out there that have men living with them with no jobs, not contributing, and even with their own kids. If either you're, not even taking care of the kid while the mother's out there working, they're gallivanting. It's just like, because there are times where I heard a guy said, no, I'm a stay-home dad. I lost my job, and I'm a stay-home dad. I can respect that.
I can respect
Absolutely.
that.
I can respect that. But if you're not
these men
doing
coming
nothing,
in ain't had no job and ain't lost nothing, and just
Not doing nothing.
feel like they lost on some sleep and want to get that. That's the only loss they
I
feel
want to
like.
play video games all day.
I don't know, TR, but I have, even when we was growing up, I didn't hear our mothers also tell us that if these boys don't love their mama, they wouldn't know how to love you.
Yeah.
So I just want you messy men to just grow up and get it together, because
step
there's
up to the
still some
plate.
good women out here.
I know that's right, because I'm one of them too. We'll be right back. Rated M.
This segment is sponsored by Spotless Car Care, auto detailing by hand, located at 194 Hargrave Avenue, Teaneck, New Jersey, 07666. For more info, go to Gyroscope Media Group website, and all the information will be there.
Okay, welcome back to Rated M. And guess who we got coming up next? We got Katy D, and she's coming with us with a sugar story.
Hello, hello. Well, I want to talk about sugar. It's linked to diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and obesity. Obesity is a worldwide epidemic. It's a pretty recent epidemic in the past 30 years. And unfortunately, people who are struggling with obesity are seen as eating too much, lazy, not working out enough. And what I've discovered in watching two great movies, one called Fed Up and one called That Sugar Film, which I highly recommend, is that it's the sugar in our food. And we didn't always have added sugar in our food. So I want to start with some statistics, and I'm going to talk about what happens when we eat this sugar. So type 2 diabetes, which used to be called adult onset diabetes, they can no longer call it that because children are getting it. In 1980, there were 0 cases among adolescents of type 2 diabetes. In 2010, there were 57,638 cases. The American Heart Association recommends 6 to 9 teaspoons of sugar today. The average American today consumes 41 teaspoons of sugar. That's not sugar in your coffee. It's that also, but it's added sugar in the food, and we'll get to that. It has to do with money and politics. So 80% today, 80% of the food items in your grocery store have added sugar. That sugar goes by many different names. I don't have them all listed here, but I'll say a few. Sucrose, fructose, lactose, raw sugar, and high fructose corn syrup, which is made, the corn lobby's big in that one. The problem with this added sugar, they all have the same effect on the body. It's not like, oh, I'll use that raw sugar and that's better for me. It has the same effect in the body. So what happens when you eat it? Let's compare 160 calories of almonds versus 160 calories of a Coke, okay? So what happens with the almonds is because it has fiber, it is digested very, very slowly, and the liver can handle that glucose. It turns it over to glucose very slowly. What happens with the soft drink is the liver gets overwhelmed by the fructose. It goes directly into the liver. And the pancreas comes to the rescue and produces insulin, which is the energy-producing hormone. And insulin turns the sugar directly into fat. So when the liver is overwhelmed by this direct sugar going right into it, it can't handle it. It converts it to fat right away, and that extra fat goes on to the body. High levels of the insulin now also block the signal to the brain that says, I'm full. So now you walk around feeling hungry, even though you're not. So those are some statistics. The sugar story dates back to 1977, the McGovern report. Senator George McGovern was given the task to find the link between heart disease and diet. And what he found was sugar was the problem. It wasn't fat. And what happened was the egg, dairy, sugar, and beef industries came and fought him on this. And they ended up rewriting the report and came up with the solution that people should eat low-fat foods. So, I don't know, we all grew up around that time. You noticed all proliferation of low-fat foods, processed foods, low in fat. We still have them, low-fat milk, all of these items. What do you do when you take the fat out of food? It doesn't taste good. What do you have to do? You add sugar. Mm-hmm. That's the beginning of the sugar story. So we now have, it's all driven by lobbies in Washington. Big food is fighting at every turn. We have, in 2002, the TRS 916 report came out with the statement, sugar is a major, if not the single cause of metabolic disease and obesity. And lobbyists came out and they had them rewrite it. They pressured so hard and they had to rewrite that report. So now, instead of 10% of your calories coming from sugar, which is what the report said would be the absolute maximum. The report says 25% of sugar can be in your diet. It's not true. It's very, very dangerous. The Bush administration tried to block that report, but he's not the only one. Obama signed a bill in 2010 for USDA to make lunches more healthy, and he was blocked again. The USDA increased school lunch budget, but they doubled the amount of veggies, but they said French fries and tomato paste were vegetables. Yeah. So I think the takeaway, I've got a lot of notes here, but the takeaway is that unfortunately, if you eat a peach, that sugar has fiber. I'm not talking about juice. Juice is no good. It's the same as drinking a Coke. If you prefer Coke to orange juice or to fresh squeezed from the local juice place, not smoothies. Smoothie still has the fiber in it. Fiber's the key. So if you're eating a peach, it's no problem. Eat as many as you want. The idea that too much fruit is too much sugar is wrong. Don't worry about it. It's got all kinds of vitamins in it, and it's got fiber. If you're eating sugar or soft drinks, it's going right to your liver. You don't have to be obese. Half of Americans have metabolic disease. This is all since 1977. We're not supposed to be like this. It's when they call them skinny fat people, where they have a lot of belly fat, and it's on the inside their organs.
Wow.
That's really dangerous.
I'm a skinny fat.
So should they keep the fats in food then? Is it healthier to eat fatty foods as opposed to low-fat milk, for example?
Great question. Anything processed is not good, and that's for different reasons, but mostly because they can tweak those proportions in the food, and a lot of times there's hidden sugars in processed foods. Mm-hmm. So the thing to remember is sugar is going to turn to fat. It doesn't matter what type of sugar it is. It's going to turn to fat. It's all how your liver can't handle it. It turns to glucose too quickly, and it converts it to fat to save itself. There are a lot of skinny people in America who have liver disease because the liver is working so hard to get rid of these directly metabolized sugars. It's turning it to fat, but for whatever reason, they're skinny fat people. But you can measure with an MRI the belly fat is an indicator of that condition. Processed foods, no good. Fat is not your enemy. It's not your enemy like you think it is. So you want to be careful. You want to use olive oil. You want to use a vegetable oil when you're frying. Canola oil is a great oil for frying. It's wonderful. You don't, use, like when I'm cooking, I use canola oil and I'll put a tiny bit of butter because that's the flavor. But I don't need all of the butter in there. I don't need all of that. And these little changes go a huge way. That's it. What do you think?
I have seen on the internet, because that's where a lot of us get our information from, and they showed you how much sugar is in ketchup. I was blown away.
Really?
Oh my gosh, there is no way. They had the little packet of ketchup, and it was like that little small packet. It had like 2 to 3 tablespoons of sugar in that one little packet. That's about this big. And I was like, oh my gosh. And everything has sugar in it, regardless if it's in the can. The only thing that doesn't have sugar in it, if it's frozen, like frozen vegetables, I don't see. But everything else has sugar in it. I'm like, everything has sugar. And then when I saw how much sugar it was in Coke and a soda, they had it in a bowl, and it was filled.
Yeah.
And they poured that sugar out in a regular size Coke.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. And Coke is not good for you anyway, because I also seen what Coke did. My sister, when she couldn't get the stains up out of the toilet, like when she just freshly moved someplace, and you know how the rim up underneath it gets really cruddy, she would fill it up slowly with Coca-Cola soda and let it sit there until the next day, and it'll eat all that crud off of it. Coke will even take the paint off of cars.
I forgot one thing. I don't want to forget this. Talking about Coke. When they studied the brain, sugar is more addicting than Coke. They did a study with 40 rats who were cocaine addicted, put them in cages, gave them sugar water drip and a cocaine drip. 40 out of 43 went to the sugar. When they showed the brain scans, it illuminates more brightly, more intensely from sugar. Can't forget that part.
Well, Katy, no shade, but when you started talking about sugar, I thought we was going to talk about sugar daddies.
I'm done.
You have that on your mind.
Yeah, she does health talk.
Sugar daddies are messy.
I was getting excited. I'm like, Katy over there like sugar, sugar, sugar. I'm just waiting for her to say sugar, sugar daddy.
I will say that I get this high when my weakness is Pepsi. And I get this high, this happiness when I drink it.
That's the addiction.
Pepsi is addiction.
Yeah, no,
I like
totally,
Pepsi
totally admit it. It's just, and I've cut back a lot, but when I do have it, I'm just the happiest person.
And see, my problem with sugar is because I don't like milk, any kind of cereal, if I was to eat it, I have to have sugar, rather it's Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops, Fruity Pebble. I have to have sugar and ice because I don't drink regular milk. So because I don't like the milk, I need to make it very sweet.
And
So
milk is fatty, so you're doing at home this sort of compensation, right? If
Yeah.
you don't have the
That's
fatty
why I'm
milk,
skinny
the fat
fat.
sugar thing,
That's why I'm the skinny fatty one that you was talking about.
I think it's can be just as dangerous, actually.
Well, I don't eat cereal a lot, so every once in a blue moon. But I'm still the skinny fatty one.
You just want to say skinny. That's why.
No, but you have seen people that are very thin, and then they're
Yeah, 'cause
and
she
they
said
got
it
it
comes
all
in
in
their
the
weight.
front. Yeah.
Unhealthy.
And I think it can be on the inside too. The MRI picks that up. They studied these three brothers, and one was very obese. They were profiling him, and then he was so upset because his brother could eat anything and be thin.
Right.
And they did MRIs of all of them, and the little skinny brother had 27% fat in his belly, which is reaching a dangerous level because they can develop type 2 diabetes.
And it seems like with us women, that's where we get all the fat at, right there, around
Right in
there.
the waist. Yeah. Yeah.
So here's a challenge to everyone out there. 10 days, no sugar. 10 days. 10 days. It's an addictive substance. Give it a try. See how you feel. Maybe keep us.
Why not do the 10-day of no
10 days.
sugar challenge?
You're gonna be
seriously.
cranky.
No, I'm gonna be mad.
Withdrawal. You will have withdrawal.
I had orange juice this morning.
I have a coffee every morning, and I
Yeah.
need sugar in that.
No,
Well,
I
you know
can't.
something? We have people who do the ice bucket challenge, the cinnamon challenge, this kind of challenge. Why not try the sugar challenge? Why not? Okay, guys, we'll be right back with Rated N, and you got me. I'm going to come back, and we're going to talk about body piercing. Hey, we'll be right back. Rated N.
This segment is sponsored by TR Broadcast Media, located at 70 Spruce Street, Building 8, Suite 18, Patterson, New Jersey, 07501. For more info, go to Gyroscope Media Group website, www.gyroscopeme.weebly.com, and click on the GS Radio sponsor tab.
All right. Guess who's here to give their segment? I'm your host, TR. Okay, what I'm going to be talking about is body piercing. Now, that's the end thing is body piercing. We're going to have a few pictures come up on the screen, and I'm going to talk about each one. So whatever one that our engineer will bring, okay, great, that's ear piercing. Okay, ear piercing, when you get a lot going up the cartridge of your ear, that's very, very dangerous. It could cause a lack of blood supply. So when you start getting it all the way up your ear, in the ear, in the inner part of the ear, in that little peak where you see that's holding in the ear, all those areas is lack of blood supply. And the lack of blood supply could cause really big problems. Also, it makes it vulnerable for bacteria and infections. And it also causes involving a lining and valves of your heart. Yeah, because of that's what it's saying here, the valves of the heart. And also, if there's a risk of having an allergic reaction, regardless, no matter how, you know how sometimes they pierce and you have the nickel plated that's in there? If you're allergic to it, that can cause a whole nother problem as well. So body piercing isn't really cool at all. You really have to be careful. When you get the tongue piercing, that also causes a problem. For one, if that ball loosens, you could choke on it. It's metal, and metal can cause a problem in your body. Just like a lot of the metals they take out of your teeth now when you have fillings. It's not the metals anymore. They fill it with porcelain because metal is starting to poison the body. I had that problem. I was sick all the time and couldn't figure it out. And as soon as I had my fillings taken out that I had since I was a child, they last forever, but they cause problems after a while. I ended up getting sick and couldn't figure out what it was, and it was the metal in my in my mouth. But yes, when you have your tongue pierced, you have a chance of biting on something when you eat and breaking your teeth. The saliva in your mouth, you know, you're always drooling. And you ever notice that someone who has a tongue piercing, they're always trying to get it together?
Came out.
Did you do that?
I did it when my friend dared me.
No, I mean, were you like sucking back spit?
No.
Well,
That's what it is.
I just had to suck a lot of ice when I first got it because the tongue be swole.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I wanted one because my brother had one, and I wanted to be cool like
there
him.
we go. We got it right there up on the screen. Woo,
Yeah,
that makes
I
my
wanted
knees
one.
weak.
I actually know someone who lost their sense of taste after getting pierced in their tongue.
And you know what? That can you imagine if you lost? That could go wacky. That can either have you lose weight or you're eating a lot because you can't taste anything.
I love
So is that
eating,
two?
and what's the point of eating?
Those
if you
are
can't
two.
taste it?
Those are two. That's a ring and a
Stuff?
with a I don't know, look like a pole to me.
I was just
But they call it a
upset.
stem.
I was upset because I got it around Thanksgiving and that's
Oh,
when they had
no.
the collard greens and everything, so I had to like chew on the side. But
My daughter had
When did you
gotten
take
it.
out? I got bored with it.
My daughter had hers, and I had a feeling because she said, "Ma, get me a bunch of Listerine," and I'm like, "For what?" And she went out and got it done. And when she was dodging me, and she was talking, and she was like, "Oh, blah, blah." I'm like, "Why are you talking like that?" And I said, "You got your tongue pierced?" And she said, "Why?" I said, "Yeah, you got tongue pierced because if you come back like that, that's what happened, a tongue pierced." Also, when you get your belly button pierced, I always want that. I always wanted that, but I ain't got no belly to be getting pierced like that.
I had one.
Now here is the crazy piercing. Look
The
at
corset.
that.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. Our niece said she wanted one.
Yes, I wanted a back piercing, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy.
never
I
seen
wanted a
that.
back piercing. Now everybody getting this stuff.
So
So
it looks painful.
bump all y'all.
It is.
I just wanted a lower back piercing.
Ooh.
But
Yeah, I seen
but
that.
soon after this became popular and everybody was jumping on that, and I was like, but they was looking at me crazy when I said I wanted one.
All right, that type of piercing right there, they're saying is very dangerous. Not only does it pull and rip the skin, but it's very close to your spine, and you getting infections. And if you got an infection like that on your back near your spine, and it gets in your
Yeah.
blood system, can you imagine? There's a chance of you facing death with that. That
What
is
if it
not
gets
good.
like caught in a clothing item?
Oh.
It's like you being flagged, right, or flonged, or
Girl,
whatever
you
they
don't
call.
know. People got suspended from that and got married that way. They said their vows suspended from their back piercings.
That's
I've never seen so
Your
much.
bowels
They
escaped.
No.
Bowels.
They got suspended. They got their back piercings hooked up, and they were suspended in the air, and that's how they said their marriage vows. Suspended in the air from their back piercings.
No, whatever that means.
They were hanging from their piercings.
Spinning in the air. It's like them having a rope and they're hanging from the ceiling
Yes.
on that. And I'm surprised their skin didn't rip.
It ripped. They bled a little bit, but it wasn't that bad.
No.
Oh gosh, that is really, those are people who are self-inflicted and they're obsessed with pain.
I wanted other piercings though.
And nipple piercing, vaginal piercing is not good because it leaves room for infections, serious infections. Nipple piercing, they don't talk about too much with having infections. However, like they said with the metal, you have to be careful with that. But a lot of people do get nipple piercings. Women, if you plan to have children, that could cause a problem. But other than that, it
Well, I
wouldn't
could
cause
go
a
ahead
problem.
for it then. 'Cause I'm done with the
I don't
children.
see why. Why, like with nipple piercing? I mean, the nipples get erect so easily. They get like the word I'm looking for, I can't find, but they get erect
They're
so
very
easily.
sensitive.
Yes, thank you. And like, why would you want to? I don't get it.
Well, I don't get it with it on the back either. But also, I remember when I turned 40 years old, I wanted to do something, and I got the nose pierced. When she clicked that gun, I thought my whole head, I had whiplash, and wham, it went back. I couldn't believe that thing hurt so bad. But I couldn't keep it because it got infected. And I put the Bacitracin in, I cleaned it and everything. And the doctor told me I had to take it out because of the gun must have been not clean. Wow. And it was like, how is that possible? How was that possible when everything is supposed to be clean, when they do it? And but body piercing, folks, you really have to be careful with body piercing. It can cause a lot of problems with your health, and once an infection reaches your blood, then it's like you, I don't know. It's not a good thing. I
always think too with tattoos and body piercings, you're going to be 60, 70, 80 with luck one day. Like, what do you do with those types of body mutilations when you're older?
Well, I have 13, so I guess when I get older, I'll try to see what's going to go on.
well,
You know what it is? When you get tattoos, for some reason, it starts to be an addiction.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Okay.
It starts to be an addiction because you see other females with it. And some people that actually have tattoos look very nice on them, certain places, certain kinds of tattoos. So that was when I first was younger, I wanted to get my name. So that was my first start off. And then it was like, now I want my kid's name. So then it was like, now I want, a
my
symbol.
daughter,
and
my
what-
granddaughter's like that. But body piercing, folks, you really have to be careful with that. You have to go to a place that specializes in body piercing. When they open up the package, let them open it up in front of you. The gun itself should be sterilized. It should be a new gun, not a gun that's used on everyone, because you got to remember there's blood. And if you're the next one and that wasn't sterilized properly, then you get infected blood, and that could be a whole nother issue, people.
Quick question. What's the piercing called when they have like a big ear, like it's real wide in their
The
And they put-
gauges. The gauges, the big wide, they're called gauges.
Yeah. We used to see that in like Africa, but now you see it here. That a lot of people that are gothic or those that follow like a lot of atheism and
But how do they
stuff
get the
like
hole
that.
so big?
They stretch. They go
They
from
stretch.
one to the next one, and it just stretches the
Yeah,
hole.
each
It's a
time.
gradual thing.
Yeah, it's a gradual thing that you put inside the little hole. You get pierced, and then you put something a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger, and it starts stretching to the point where they could. I seen it piercing. I didn't send it to, Chalk, but the guy had it like that in his cheek.
Yeah.
And you could see his teeth and his tongue, and it's like, yeah, it was a lot of exotic type piercing, but I didn't bring that up because I just wanted people to know the basic things that that's out there. And the one with the back having all the piercings in it and it tied up, that was right there. That's coming up on the screen now. That was one of the exotics, but that's not something that everybody's getting. That's just something that some people are getting. But basically, it's the nose, the tongue ring, the nipples, the vaginal piercing. That is what's going on more today, and you got to be careful because with the ear piercing you have to worry about the blood flow being blocked, and any type of blood flow, you got to remember your main artery is near your neck, so any type of blood flow that's blocking it can cause an issue. You could be allergic to the nickel plate because not everybody is able to handle certain types of metals. And not only that, open for infection, because once you get an infection and it hits the blood, you're taking a risk on your life. So we'll be right back with Real Talk, and our subject is regarding women power. Are we actually taking over? So we'll be right back, and you can call, and I'll give you the number when we get back. Rated M. Welcome back. Here we are. It's me, Miss TR with Rated M. Our subject with Real Talk is the subject, are women taking over? Give us a call and give us your opinion at 973-460-8931. The lines are open, 973-460-8931. And give us your opinion about, are women actually taking over? So as you know, we have an all-female panel. And we represent all different cultures here at our panel. And so all of us here have a voice as far as women power. So the first person I'm going to ask, as always, the person here to my left, your right in watching, will be our darling, Ruth Danessa.
I am all about girl power, and I do believe that we are slowly, very, very slowly making headway. There's only 5% of the global CEO of Fortune 500 companies that are 5% that are female, and we are 50% of the population. So obviously we are represented in that field. However, you know, people like Yahoo, General Motors, they have female CEOs now. So yes, we are, but it's very slow coming.
Okay. And I'm going to go with Inisa. Inisa, what do you think about this woman power and us taking over? Is that a call coming through?
No, I'm just giving you the phone so you can have it.
Okay. I can't reach it, guys.
I don't have the evidence that Ruth just mentioned. Sorry, I'm a female. I don't know it. So I don't.
Sorry, you're a female. You
But
saying
you
you
don't
don't know
have
it
to-
because you don't know
I'm
because
saying
you're a female?
I don't know because I did not inform myself,
Oh.
and I'm saying that looks bad because I am a woman.
Okay, not
Yeah.
because you're a woman, you don't know.
Yeah, not because I'm a woman. I don't know. I should know because I am a woman.
Well, I didn't look at the statistics either, but you should know by what's happening today. What
I
is your
do
opinion?
know because I'm a blogger and I go on WordPress and I looked. I don't remember the name of the company, but it was an engineer company, and two women were one of the head engineers. They went in the place of their boss to accept the award for their company. So that much I do. I feel like women are getting more recognition now from what I gather when I do read the news or when I do see things. But I need more evidence to make a more conclusive statement that I don't have for myself.
All right. What about you, Tawana?
I'm all for the women power. We rock. Us women, we rock. Even this panel, we rock. We're here. We representing the women. You know, bringing up topics, trying to reach out. You know, with different things to let the women know what's going on, and to show the women that we're here. You know, we're tuning in. We're talking about a whole bunch of hot topics. So we rock. I'm for the women power. You know, that we stand up and we're doing a lot of successful things and trying to. I appreciate the women that's out there, especially the ones that's trying to make it right in the society out there, standing up for what's going on. And, like me, I do like fashion shows for kids. My sister, she has her own dance, production as a female, me as a female, Tiara, your panel here at Rated M, the girls here, our other little baby that's coming. We rock. So I'm all for women power. I believe we got the power. I just think we all need to just come together a little more to understand that we all do have some kind of power and represent each other.
I know that's right. I know. How about you, Katy? I know you feel that we rock.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. I think, I'll just say I think that we live in a patriarchal system, which is hierarchical. So if I'm here because someone's got to be here, and someone's below that, and someone's below that, and someone's above me, and that's a hierarchy, and that has roots in Hebrew society, ancient, and in my ancestry, which is the barbarians, as my husband would say, the Nordic people, and that type of hierarchy, might makes right, is really the problem worldwide. And I think women have made enormous strides within that hierarchy, but it's not our nature to be hierarchical. It's more our nature to be egalitarian, where we see things more flatly. We see things more as equal. Children are equal, everyone's equal. So I think that it's a bit of an uphill battle. The more we fight for our place within a hierarchy, I think that to have confidence within that hierarchy is a challenge. And I don't mean to be pessimistic, because I see the strides that are being made, and I think everything is warranted, and we deserve every stride we make. But I just wanted to point out that the system has some real problems. And I think it requires some radical thinking. And I would refer everyone to a great book written by the futurist Ryan Eisler. It's called The Chalice and the Blade. My good friends know I talk about that book all the time. She's a sociologist and anthropologist, and she looks at ancient cultures that were not hierarchical. And through their art, we see that instead of worshiping a dead man on a cross, they worshipped a pregnant woman. Through their art, men and women were represented equally in stature. They had the same muscle tones. They did the same tasks. They were the same in athletics. We know this all through their art. So, yeah, I think we need to rethink things. We're killing each other the world over.
Well, I strongly believe that we rock for sure. And we control a lot of things, although we don't get the credit for it. We control the home, because if we're the ones that control the kids, just in everyday life, we control the kids. We can make sure the homework's done. We do the cooking. We do the cleaning. You have to also appease the husband as well. And as far as in the workplace, the only thing that I have a problem with females in the workplace that are high up in management is that their attitudes, a lot of them attitudes are so manly, and they lose compassion, like that heart, that female part of compassion.
They're part of the system. That they're part of that.
That's what I don't like about it.
I think it's out of necessity, because either you're a pushover, or you got to be the B, to be taken seriously.
It's just so rude and so nasty, and I'm like, no,
sometimes it's necessary.
That's because she is in upper management, but I have whole positions too, and I'm the type of person that I give the respect.
I agree, but in my industry, it's male dominated, and I am the first female in my position ever. And I will tell you this: it's so interesting to see the approach, the women and the female approach. We had our executive director was a female too, and men, it always seems to be like a pissing contest, who has a bigger one, and they don't do the greater thing. Not all of them. I don't want to generalize, but it's all about ego, and you know what I mean. Where women, a lot of them, is about the greater good. And it's really interesting to see the different approaches.
Because everyone that I had was basically in hierarchy up on me. They were just rude. They were nasty when they spoke to you. It's like, does it really take that by doing that? You're no longer feminine. It's like, excuse me, people. It's like, some of you want to check to see if they got balls.
Well, I think it's because they feel the need to be one of the boys. I don't think you need to be. I just think that some people feel the need to be one of the boys. But
I really give it to women because of the fact that we juggle so much, and being out in the workforce as well, that we juggle so much, and we still get the job done. We still get it done. There's a chance of a female president that may be coming forth, and that's something new. It's nothing impossible. There's a good chance that may happen, and it's going to change a lot of different things. But the only thing is that you could be up there and not forget who you are as being a woman. That's the challenges that I don't like, to forget that you're a woman, forget how God created you to be, to have that compassion, to have that love, to be able to balance, be able to multitask. And that's something that a lot of us women are birthed with.
Well, I think you have to be careful because one of the arguments in the past that white women shouldn't be president is that, okay, your time of the month, you might get hormonal and push the button and nuke.
That's ignorance.
Yeah, I'm agreeing, but you got to be a leader, not a woman. You know what I mean? As a president, I think.
But I guess that's the definition of saying that what is a woman.
I think
as far
women
as that.
can be leaders.
I agree, but you have to be a leader and not define yourself or limit yourself to just, I'm a woman and, I'm expected to do this. No, I'm a leader.
No. When I say being a woman, it's like as far as compassion and stuff like that. I'm not talking about because being a leader that you have to be rude, rough, and rugged. It's like, all right, it's like you're still a woman, what God has created you to be, but that doesn't mean that you can't bring forth what needs to be done. It shouldn't have to change what you have been originally ordained to be, is a woman.
Well, guess what? Tiara, we're going to have to give you a round of applause. Ron, can we get a round of applause for Tiara?
Why?
Because you rock.
Oh, well, thank you.
You rock.
Hey.
And because of you, we rock. You had that understanding and patience and, all of that, for women. So because of you, we're here. We rock, and we rock because of you, and you rock because of us. So we appreciate you.
Yeah,
so you definitely rock.
Thank you for giving me
and you girls
that.
Rock.
Yeah,
we rock. We rock together.
We rock.
Thank you.
And that's the thing that we as women should be. I think we as women, we end up, not all, so when I speak, I'm not speaking about all women, that a lot of women have a tendency to hate. They become haters and they don't want to see the next one grow.
Right.
And that's in all nationalities. It's like, why? When don't you know that when we come together and lock arms,
that excites
how
us.
Strong that we could be, and what we can conquer, and what you can't do, I can do, and lift it up. What kind of strength that we will have?
Tremendous strength, and it's when we come together, we have enormous amount of talents to show the world and teach the world. And I think, to your point, being a leader before you're a woman is because you're a leader in this patriarchy. You're a leader in this certain system. So wouldn't it be great if all the female leaders, there were enough of them to have a sea change where in their positions of authority, they do bring more compassion to the workforce. They do bring these more typically seen as female qualities, which, by the way, it varies because my son is much more empathetic and attuned to things oftentimes.
But that's what I was going to say, too. Some people deserve that position, as far as being the leader and, the supervision.
Well, there are those that are alphas. Not everybody is an alpha.
Right.
And that is independent of women or men. But I'm all about girl power, so don't get it wrong. And one of the last Native American tribes to fall to the European was led by women. And I believe that was one of the reasons why it was one of the last one to fall to the Europeans, because they had a different approach that the Europeans have never fought against before. So, no, I'm not saying that you should ever forget that you're a woman or fight your instincts.
I don't know that story. So she was able to hold off
the
for
tribes,
the longest?
The tribes. It was a tribe.
Okay.
It was a matriarchal tribes. Instead of led by the man, they were the decision makers were the women in this tribe. And they were I can't remember the name of the tribe, but they were one of the last ones to fall to the Europeans.
Okay.
And they were the decision makers, as opposed to they had the tribe, the councils, and it was mostly men. The other one, this one was women.
Wow. Well, guys, you know what? It's that time. We're about to end this segment, and we're going to sign off. So no matter what that's out there, women, let you know that you rock, we rock. And also, knowledge is power. And that power brings impact on your life. So remember that. Rated M. Mwah. And we'll see you next week, guys.
Adios.
Bye-bye.